Missiles streaking across the night sky over Doha, shrapnel falling onto city streets. The videos went viral within hours on Sunday, and the interceptions behind them were real. Qatar's Ministry of Defense said its armed forces successfully intercepted a number of ballistic missile attacks aimed at the country, but interception came at a cost. Authorities said 3 people, including a child, were injured when falling missile debris and shrapnel from the interceptions struck the ground. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps claimed it targeted Udeid Air Base with ballistic missiles in retaliation for U.S. strikes on Iranian targets, and claimed the attack destroyed a fighter aircraft maintenance center, and the command and control center at the base claims Qatar's interception account leaves unproven. And the footage did not stop at Qatar. The IRGC also released video of what it claimed were missiles fired toward Jordanian military targets. Jordan's authorities confirmed the strike reached their territory, saying, and I quote, "3 missiles coming from Iranian territory fell inside the kingdom without causing injuries." And Amman drew a hard line, declaring it will not allow the kingdom's airspace or territory to be used as an arena for conflict, and that it will deal firmly with any threat to the state's sovereignty and the security of its citizens. Meanwhile, Kuwait was facing its own incoming threats. Iran's army said it launched suicide drones toward US-linked military sites in Kuwait, claiming Patriot air defense systems, radar installations, and ammunition depots were on the target list, in response to what Tehran described as continued US aggression against southern Iran. The Kuwaiti army, in a statement on X, said its armed forces were confronting hostile aerial targets within Kuwaiti airspace, telling residents that any explosion sounds were the result of air defenses intercepting the attacks. So what does Washington say unleashed all of this? Hours earlier, U.S. Central Command released video of its latest strikes, launched after what CENTCOM called an Iranian attack on a Cyprus-flagged container ship in the Strait of Hormuz left the vessel burning, badly damaged, and unable to continue. CENTCOM said it hit some 140 targets, far more than the previous 2 rounds, going after missile and ammunition launch sites, communications equipment, and other military infrastructure. It was the 3rd round of American strikes in days, and AP described it as far larger than the previous 2 rounds, landing just as the interim deal to end this war looked more fragile than ever. Step back from the sirens and the viral clips, and the scale of this moment becomes clear. In a single night, missile alerts sounded across the Gulf. Air defenses activated across at least 2 countries, while Jordan reported Iranian missiles falling inside its territory, and Iran announced attacks stretching from Jordan across the Gulf, with AP reporting regional responses reaching as far as Oman. What exactly was hit, what was intercepted, and what each side is claiming versus what can actually be proven, that is where this story gets even bigger. Because when you map out every base Iran says it struck, country by country, a very different picture of this war emerges. Iran has announced a series of coordinated missile and drone strikes targeting U.S. military facilities across several countries, including Jordan, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Qatar, marking a significant escalation in the regional conflict. If the claims hold, this would be the widest single wave of Iranian attacks on American military infrastructure since the war began, stretching from the Jordanian desert to the heart of the Gulf. The announcements came through Iran's state broadcaster, IRIB. And as we go through them, keep one thing in mind. These are Tehran's claims, and so far, they come without independent confirmation. Start with the most striking target. According to the statement carried by IRIB, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said its aerospace forces launched several ballistic missiles at Prince Hassan Air Base in Jordan, describing it as part of the U.S. military footprint in the region. The IRGC claimed the strikes destroyed a command and control center and hangars housing MQ-9 drones at the base. Jordan has largely stayed on the edges of this war, which is exactly what makes the claims so significant. If Iranian missiles really reached that target, the map of this conflict just expanded. Separately, Iran's regular army said it launched multiple waves of explosive drone attacks against U.S. military sites in Kuwait and Bahrain. According to IRIB, the military said the drones targeted a Patriot air defense system, an ammunition depot, and a radar site used by U.S. forces in Kuwait, while another wave struck a U.S. communications system and a radar site in Bahrain. The army said the operations were carried out in response to continued U.S. strikes on areas in southern Iran, framing the entire wave as retaliation. Then there is Qatar. In another statement, the IRGC said it fired ballistic missiles at Al Udeid Air Base, the Qatari base that hosts major U.S. military forces and the forward headquarters of U.S. Central Command. The force claimed it destroyed a fighter aircraft maintenance and repair center, along with a command and control center, while Qatar's version points instead to interception. But Qatar tells a different story. Its Ministry of Defense said its air defense systems intercepted a missile attack targeting Qatari territory, and that dispute captures the whole picture. Iranian authorities have released no visual evidence or independent proof of damage at any of the targeted facilities, and there has been no independent confirmation of the claimed strikes or their reported impact.
We vow to take revenge for your pure blood and that of all the martyrs of these two wars, from the criminal and disgraced killers. This revenge is our nation's demand and must certainly be carried out. These criminals, whose list from top to bottom exists, will take the wish for a peaceful death in bed to their graves. They must know that this does not depend on me or other officials. Whether we are here or not, this will be realized, and soon free people across the world will each carry out a part of this divine mission.
The strikes come wrapped in a message from the very top, in what Iranian media presented as his first public message since his father's funeral ceremonies began. Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, thanked the crowds who joined the ceremonies, calling the turnout historic and, in his words, enemy-breaking. Then came the vow. We pledge, he declared, to take revenge for your pure blood and all the martyrs of these two wars from the criminal and disgraced killers. This revenge, he said, is the demand of the nation and must certainly take place, regardless of who is in power, with those responsible, in his words, listed from top to bottom. In that message, Iran is not talking about reconciliation. It is talking about revenge as a national mission. And yet, at the very same moment, Iran's diplomats are on the move. Even as the vow echoed, Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi arrived in Oman for talks focused on the Strait of Hormuz. According to reports, the discussions center on arrangements for the safe passage of commercial ships, while Washington demands that Tehran publicly guarantee it will stop attacks on vessels, keep all shipping lanes open, and refrain from imposing any tolls on transit. During the war, Iran has tried to tighten its grip over the strait, the choke point that carried roughly a fifth of global oil before the conflict. Missiles in the air, negotiators at the table, both at once.